Hello everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Cooking with Chef Aaron. Today, we're going to be setting foot in South America as we explore the country of Argentina. Now this country was requested to me by none other than Jade Catalina. Thank you for your request. I'd like to give a big shout out to you, and I hope to receive more requests from other people sometime soon. Okay, so I figured I'd start my review off by talking about the rural parts of Argentina first. And I gotta say, there's not really a whole lot that really interests me because it's mostly just fields. Argentina is basically just a bunch of fields. There's not really a whole lot to see. In the countryside, it's mostly just flat. I mean, you do see a little bit of mountains that resemble glaciers here and there, but mostly when you're driving around along the countryside, all you can see is just fields, 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 and then there's a palm tree, and then it's just fields, fields, fields again. Like, there's not really a whole lot to see. I don't find Argentina to be really that interesting of a country in terms of its rural areas. So that's what I've got to say about it. Okay, so there is one country that's kind of similar to Argentina in terms of its rural areas I actually kind of like. That country that I speak of is Mongolia. And while Mongolia is mostly just fields, not much else to see, I find that it's very scenic because I really like all the colors that blend in with Mongolia because it just feels like very foreign to me. I also like kind of like that there's a little bit of like desert and there's also some nice green mountains. I think it just looks very interesting. With Argentina, I really don't find it looks that interesting because I have seen a few areas in Argentina that have like cactuses and it's sort of sandy, but most of the areas I've seen, they're mostly just flat. They're kind of don't look at anything different from what you would see in the United States, like the northern states. They're mostly just fields, and yeah, I don't really find them that interesting. Okay, so I'm going to shift my attention over to the capital and largest city of Argentina, which is called Buenos Aires. And this city I kind of think is just okay because it is sort of nice, and you do see some rainbow colors like here and there in some parts of the city. But for the most part, it's just a standard like a plain city. It's not really anything that looks really too foreign because as you can see, it's not very colorful. I noticed that it was colorful in some areas earlier, but if you look at like the main square, it's not really anything that's too different. It doesn't really look too futuristic. It doesn't look like anything original. Okay, so now I'm going to shift my attention over to the second largest city in Argentina, which is called Cordoba. And this city I find slightly to be more interesting than Buenos Aires because it has more of a European vibe. Like, you can see some buildings that kind of look similar to what you would find in like countries like Germany or even like Denmark or Belgium. But it's still not a very interesting city in my eyes because the buildings are just kind of bland. It's not really anything that's too unique or original. Okay, so to wrap up my review, I'm going to talk about the third largest city in Argentina, which is called Rosario. And once again, this is not a very interesting city. It kind of looks similar to Buenos Aires, except not as built up. Yeah, it's just a standard city with a bunch of buildings that just kind of look colorless, kind of. And there's not really a whole lot to say about it in terms of what I like about it. Okay, so overall, I unfortunately would have to give the country of Argentina a D-. Okay, so let's head up to my kitchen right now. I'll show you how to make the Argentinian lentil soup. Okay, so in order to make the Argentine lentil stew, the ingredients you will need are as follows. I have in this bowl right here 1 cup of red lentils, and I have in this measuring cup 4 cups of water, and I have a little package of vegetable bouillon. And in this bowl, I have 3 medium tomatoes which have been peeled and diced. And I have in this bowl 1 onion that's been diced. And then I have some carrots sliced in this bowl. And I also have 1 apple which has been sliced in this bowl. And I have half a cup of frozen peas in this measuring spoon. And I also have 1 clove of garlic in this little container. And I also have 1 tablespoon of olive oil in this little spoon. And I also have a 1/4 cup of barbecue sauce in this little measuring cup. And I also have 1/2 teaspoon of paprika measured out in this little container. And I also have some salt and pepper to taste right here. Okay, so what I'm going to do in this pot is I'm going to take my water. I'm just going to pour it all into here. And I'm also going to take my red lentils and I'm just going to add them to the water. And you also want to get your little package of vegetable bouillon. And you just want to pour it all over the mixture like this. Now I'm just going to get a little spoon and I'm going to mix this all in. So now I'm just going to let this boil and then I'm just going to let it cook for 20 minutes. Okay, so as you can see the lentils are beginning to boil. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to lower the heat and just let it simmer for 20 minutes, and afterwards we'll add all of our other ingredients. Okay, so now that this has simmered for 20 minutes, it's time for the fun part now. We're going to add all of our other ingredients. So first of all, I have my olive oil. It's going to be added like this. And I'm also going to add my tomatoes. Just like that. Here's my apple. Here's my my peas and my carrots. And I have my onion. And I have my garlic. Just make sure it's all out. And here's my paprika. And here's my barbecue sauce. I'm using Diana sauce, but any barbecue sauce you want to use is good for you. Okay, so now what we're going to do now is we're going to take our spoon. We're going to stir all this in like this. And wow, it's all turning into a nice brown color. This is looking very colorful. So what we want to do now is for another 20 minutes we want this to simmer. And afterwards we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so now that this has simmered for another 20 minutes, what you want to do is you want to take your salt and pepper and you just want to sprinkle some in. So that's some salt. And here's a little bit of pepper. Just spread some all around. Now I'm just going to stir my seasonings in. And now this is ready to serve. I'm going to do a taste test and I'll tell you all what I think of it. Okay, let's see what I think of this. This tastes really good. I can taste a combination of vegetables and fruits, very tangy. I can also taste the seasoning very well. This is delicious. Okay, so here's the lentil stew, finished product served on our plates, along with 3 pieces of bread. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next episode.